You are born on September 22nd, 1991 in Palo Alto, just months after your parents marry. They are so unprepared with a name that for 2 weeks you simply go by baby boy Jobs. Your father has just been pushed out of the company he built, then quietly let back into the industry through a smaller company called Next. And he is 2 years away from buying a small animation studio nobody believes in yet called Pixar. None of that has happened. Right now, he is just a 36-year-old man holding his newborn son, trying to figure out what kind of father he wants to be after a childhood of his own that taught him almost nothing about how to do it gently. Your name is Reed. Years later, you'll learn the name means nothing symbolic, nothing about destiny. Your parents simply liked it. This will become a theme of your life. The rest of the world will search for meaning in everything connected to your father, and you will often have to tell them plainly that sometimes a name is just a name. You grow up in an ordinary house on an ordinary street in Palo Alto, not a mansion, not a compound. Your father could afford anything. He chooses a quiet family home instead, the kind any upper-middle-class family might live in. This is deliberate. The man who will spend his life obsessing over the design of a phone has decided at home that he does not want his children growing up inside a monument to his success. Dinner in your house has rules. Vegan meals, strict and unglamorous. No television because your father believes screens interfere with how a child's imagination develops. An irony that will follow you your entire life, since the device in every pocket on Earth bears his fingerprints. You sit at a kitchen table with him most nights and he asks you real questions, the kind that require real answers, not the distracted half-attention busy fathers usually offer. You don't yet know how rare this is. Your father's biographer will later write that he developed something genuinely close with you, closer than what he had with your sisters. You won't understand the weight of that sentence until you're old enough to read it for yourself, sitting with the strange knowledge that even inside your own family, your father's attention was not something everyone received equally. You got more of it. You're not sure for years what to do with that fact. At school, you are simply Reed mostly. Your father is not yet the global symbol he will become. Apple is recovering. The iPhone does not exist yet. For a stretch of your early childhood, your last name does not turn heads the way it eventually will. You get a window most children of famous men never get. A few years of relative normalcy before the gravity shifts. Then the gravity shifts, the iMac arrives, the iPod arrives, the iPhone arrives in 2007 when you are 16, and somewhere in the space of a single product launch, your father's face becomes one of the most recognized faces on the planet. You watch him walk on stage in a black turtleneck and announce something that will end up in nearly every pocket on Earth. You watch the audience react like he's just performed a magic trick. To you, he is just your dad, asking about your homework an hour later. You develop your own interest early, and it has nothing to do with computers. You become fascinated with cancer research as a teenager, drawn to a question that has nothing to do with software or design. How do you catch a disease before it has a chance to become deadly? At 15, you intern in an oncology lab at Stanford. Nobody pushes you toward this. You simply find it on your own, the way teenagers sometimes stumble onto the thing that will define the rest of their lives without realizing it yet. In 2003, your father is diagnosed with a rare form of pancreatic cancer. You are 12 years old. For the next 8 years, you live inside a slow-motion crisis that the rest of the world does not fully see until very near the end. Your father continues launching products, continues walking on stage, continues being publicly the most confident man in technology. Privately, you watch surgeries, treatments, and a man who built his entire identity around control slowly lose control over the one thing money and intelligence cannot fix. In May 2011, you are sitting at a table with your father and a group of doctors from Stanford, Harvard, and MIT brought in to evaluate his remaining treatment options. You are 19 years old. Most teenagers your age are worrying about exams. You are sitting in a room with some of the best oncologists in the country, listening to them discuss your father's body like a problem that needs solving, and there is no solution they can offer that will actually work. He dies on October 5, 2011. You are a sophomore at Stanford, on the pre-med track, already moving toward the exact field your father's illness has pulled you into. The loss does not redirect your path, it deepens it, then breaks something in it at the same time. You find it nearly impossible to go back to the version of yourself that existed before. You switch your major to history, not because the interest in cancer disappears, but because you need distance from something that has become too raw to study directly while still grieving the person who made it personal. Your mother, Laureen, becomes the primary architect of what's left. She inherits the wealth, more than $20 billion eventually, and she makes something clear from early on. This family does not believe in legacy wealth building. You will not simply inherit your way into comfort. Whatever you build, you will largely have to build yourself. Most outsiders assume this is strange, almost cruel, for the son of the richest, most famous technologist of his generation. You come to understand it as exactly the kind of lesson your father, despite everything, would have wanted you to learn. You finish your degree in history in 2014, then return to the subject that never actually left you. You join your mother's philanthropic organization, Emerson Collective, leading its work in health investment, learning the discipline of turning money and attention into actual scientific progress rather than just good intentions. You spend nearly a decade in that work quietly, almost invisibly, while the rest of the world continues debating what your father's legacy means without knowing you're the one actually trying to extend a piece of it. In 2023, you launch your own venture firm. You name it Yosemite, after the park where your parents were married. It raises over $200 million from people like venture capitalist John Doerr and institutions like MIT and Memorial Sloan Kettering. Its entire purpose is investing in unproven, risky cancer research, the kind traditional investors avoid because the timelines are too long and the failure rates too high. You have said plainly that all you care about is making cancer non-lethal in your lifetime. Not famous, not wealthy beyond what you already are, just that. People will always ask you what it was like growing up as his son. You'll tell them about the vegan dinners and the no television rule and the kitchen table conversations that felt at the time like just an ordinary childhood. You won't usually mention the room with the doctors. You won't usually mention exactly what it felt like to watch the most confident man you've ever known slowly run out of options. Your father spent his career trying to put a dent in the universe through machines. You are trying to put one in through biology, in the one place where his confidence and his genius and his money all eventually failed him. He built things that outsurvived him by design. You are trying to build something that means nobody else has to lose their father the way you lost yours.